Yep, that's me. And you're probably wondering why there's a drone buried into the side of my head. Have you ever had that situation where you're sat down browsing YouTube early in the morning, eating your Cheerios, and then out of nowhere you stumble across a video that accidentally triggers that part of your brain that makes impulsive decisions? Well, that's pretty much what happened to me. And now I'm the proud owner of this tiny piece of flying plastic. A few weeks ago, I found this video by a YouTuber called Nat, where she talked about her experience learning to fly a Tiny Whoop FPV drone. It's a really great video and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already, but maybe stick around and watch this video first, yeah? I always wanted a drone, but I don't have many places locally where I can fly one. So watching her fly around the house completely sold me on the idea of getting my own Tiny Whoop. So I did what any sensible tech YouTuber would do, and I went to Reddit to find advice on the best place to start. As we all know, there's an awful lot of opinionated people on Reddit, but on this occasion, the vast majority of people actually did have the same advice. Unless you like the idea of regularly fixing your drone, start on the simulator. So there are a few different drone simulators out there, but I decided to go with Liftoff as I saw a lot of good recommendations for it. I downloaded it, booted it up, grabbed my Xbox controller, and then spent the next 30 minutes crashing into pretty much everything above sea level. I genuinely had no idea how hard this would be. Now, I've played plenty of flight sims in the past, and even had a good number of remote control cars, so I just assumed this would be something I'm naturally good at. But this was very much not the case, and was nothing like anything I've done before. I couldn't even get through the basic tutorial. Every gate just felt too small, and even trying to fly in a straight line just felt impossible. It constantly felt like I was drifting after every tiny adjustment I made. So naturally, I assumed the sim must be at fault, and I went back to Reddit to find out if there was a magic controller setting that I just wasn't aware of. No. It turns out it's just really hard and takes a lot of practice. That said, time and time again I saw posts suggesting it's better to practice with an actual radio controller or a transmitter than it is a gaming controller. It makes the simulator experience feel much closer to the real thing and can help you build muscle memory. So I decided to set myself a goal. If I could practice on the sim for at least 1 hour a day for a whole week, I'd treat myself to a proper controller that I could use to improve my practice. Well, I spent easily over an hour every day practicing. I even installed it on my Steam Deck so I could practice when I was out and about. On day one, I was mostly using the tutorial stages to practice going up and down and to get to grips with turning left and right. Day two was once again mostly on the tutorial stages, but instead of using the gates, I just started kind of flying around the map. And I was actually starting to understand how the sticks affect the drift and direction of the drone. Of course, there were still lots of crashes, but only when I was flying too low or trying something new. Now, day three was where I really felt a shift in the way I was flying. I can only assume it was the muscle memory starting to form, but I actually started to feel kind of in control. When I wasn't thinking too hard about what I was actually doing, I almost felt like I was in this strange flow-like state where my fingers were on autopilot and able to react to whatever obstacle I was heading towards. For the next couple of days, I really felt like I'd gotten the hang of it. So before I even reached the end of the week, I decided I would treat myself early and invest in a proper transmitter to practice with. Now, it turns out there is a lot of different transmitters out there. The prices vary massively and not everything is easily available over here in the UK. At first, I found these Betaflight Lite radio sim controllers, but the thing that put me off was they're designed purely for use with the sim. They plug into your computer and that's about it. So if I ever did get a real drone, I'd have to go and buy another controller anyway. And I really didn't feel like paying out twice for something if I didn't need to. So I actually went back to Nat's video to see what she was using. And rather than a sim-only controller, she was using a Radio Master Pocket. It was double the price of the Betaflight, but had great reviews and would mean I could use it with whatever drone I picked up in the future. So you may be wondering then, if you were so set on the Radio Master Pocket, why do you have an EMAX ELRS E8 next to you? Well, I decided rather than buying just a transmitter, I might as well buy everything that I actually need to start flying. At least that way I didn't need to wait once I felt ready. I watched a ton of different videos and read a ton of different reviews, and I kept seeing the Beta FPV Air and Beta FPV Meteor showing up as recommended beginner Tiny Whoops. Now, I don't know if drones are just difficult to get into the UK or if they're just incredibly popular at the moment, but I found it really hard to find an online retailer who had either of these in stock. And finding a drone isn't where the trouble stopped. I also couldn't find a single reasonably priced entry-level FPV headset. Everything felt either too cheap or was £300+ or was once again out of stock. So I had a decision to make. I could wait until things I wanted were back in stock, or I could spend far more than I felt comfortable with on my first drone that I didn't yet know how to fly. So I slept on it. And the next day I found what I felt was a sensible middle ground in the form of the EMAX TinyHawk 3 racing drone ready to fly kit. This kit came with everything you need to get started and included the EMAX TinyHawk 3 drone, transporter 2 FPV goggles, a single battery, some spares and tools, a carry case, and like I mentioned, the EMAX E8 radio transmitter. Everything came late the following day and I took everything out as soon as it arrived, plugged in the transmitter and began practicing again on the simulator with my newfound motivation sat on the desk next to me. Now, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're practicing with an Xbox controller still, you need to throw that thing away and get yourself an actual transmitter. I am under no illusion that this is not a good quality transmitter, but my god, did it improve my ability to fly in the sim. Suddenly, I'm flying through things that I couldn't before, and I found a new level of control over the drone that I didn't think I could achieve so soon. Had I mastered the sim? No. Absolutely not. Was I now ready to fly my real-life Tiny Whoop in the real world? There was only one way to find out. Yeah. Day one wasn't exactly smooth. As it turns out, having a screen 2 inches from your eyes actually makes the whole experience a lot harder than I thought. Whilst the sim had done a really good job of preparing me for flying in the real world mechanically, unfortunately it hadn't prepared me for some of the other factors of FPV flying, such as motion sickness, or the fact that you can't see everything or everyone in the area you're flying in. I have to admit, I had the drone in beginner mode for the first few flights to keep the drone level whilst I got the hang of it, and partially out of fear that I'd accidentally send it into the neighbour's garden. But when I did finally switch into acro mode, the transition didn't take very long for me to get comfortable, and honestly I wish I'd just done it sooner. Acro mode is really where you start to notice just how amazing it feels to fly a drone. It basically prevents the drone from automatically trying to keep itself level, which means you can do all kinds of crazy stunts or crazy maneuvers, and it gives you complete control over the drone. Now, I'm still very much a newbie at flying, but each time I lift off, I can feel just how much better I'm getting. I've been flying fairly consistently for about a week or two in all kinds of places and conditions, and I'll happily say that I've completely fallen in love with Tiny Whoops. They just give you this weird sense of freedom that I haven't found anywhere else. I can comfortably fly around my house or garden, or I could just take it with me when I go on holiday or when I go on walks. The fact that it's so small usually stops people getting too concerned, as I've noticed a lot of people get a bit funny when they see a drone in the sky. So I guess what I'm saying is if you're on the fence as to whether or not you should pick up a Tiny Whoop drone, then I would definitely say give it a go, you're gonna have a lot of fun. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Shout out to Nat for her video that introduced me to this awesome new hobby, and I'll see you in the next one.